Good evening. Police were called to a Belfer address this afternoon seeking to arrest a man in relation to a serious assault. As at 4:30 this afternoon, police said the armed offender squad was involved as a precaution due to the possible presence of firearms, but no shots had been fired. No further details were available at the time of recording. A 19-year-old Chilean man, a seasonal worker in Milford Sound, plunged to his death falling more than 160 metres at Bowen Falls on Friday evening. Martin Ambrosia Salary Halaby and two others had climbed a track to the top of the waterfall at Milford Sound at around 5:30. It's believed he was taking photos when he slipped. His friends tried to locate him before raising the alarm at nearby Milford Village. A search and rescue response was activated and his body was found in the water about an hour later and was flown to Te Anau by helicopter. The matter is being treated as an accident and has been referred to the coroner. Local government election nominations have now closed. Who is putting their hand up in the Gore district?
Gore Mayor Tracy Hicks will retain his position for another 3 years, having stood unopposed for the 2013 local government elections. This will be Mr Hicks' fourth term as Mayor of Gore, and it's the second time he's stood unopposed. Meanwhile, 21 candidates have put their names forward for the Gore District Council. They are Bevan Watt, Diane Byers, Graham Sharp, Anne Gover, Doug Grant, Brett Highstead, Ralph Beale, Graham Page, Adam Hoare, Laurel Turnbull, David Ogg, Stephen Bocco-Dixon, Peter Grant, Nicola Davis, Cliff Bolger and John Gardine.
Invercargill business owner Neil Thomas thinks the proposal to reduce the number of lanes on the city's Tay and D streets is wrong, and hundreds of people support him. For the past 2 weeks, the owner of the lolly shop has been collecting signatures on a petition opposing the proposal to reduce the number of lanes on D and Tay streets. The petition asks council to reconsider, and Mr Thomas expects to have around 1,000 signatures on the petition when he presents it to council within a week. He thinks council should look at earthquake assessments before undertaking any redevelopment, and says the change would cause people to avoid the area, hurting his business and others.
The main concern is the narrowing of D Street and Tay Street down to one lane. Where it narrows at Devon Street corner and Spey Street corner, I can see a traffic jam going from 2 lanes to 1 lane. Also at the Monument corner, because Clyde Street is 2 lanes coming into 1. They say it will be easier for pedestrians to get across. I don't believe that. At the moment you've got 2 short lanes coming towards you. All of a sudden you're going to have 1 long lane. And in that long lane there'll be frustrated drivers, simply because people will be driving slow to look for parks and the other drivers won't be able to get past.
So why undertake this petition?
Well, there was a lot of people talking about it that shared my thought. So I just got together and thought it was a way to show to council that I don't agree with it.
Now you've got hundreds of signatures. Were you expecting this kind of result?
I didn't know how many I'd get, but I'm pleased I've got around 1,000 mark with some pages still to come in. So it's an indication that a lot of people think this way.
What are your hopes now?
I hope that the council sees sense and keeps 2 lanes on D and Tay Street. It used to be a wonderful wide street with 3 lanes each way. Invercargill was known for the wide streets, and we should keep that as our landmark.
So will you be taking this petition to council?
Yes, I've just got to organise how I'm going to present it to council before their meeting next Tuesday, and hopefully they'll take some notice.
Hunters wanting to hunt in balloted blocks in the Murihuku area will have to pay from September 1st. The Department of Conservation is introducing an application fee during balloted periods in 3 areas to cover administration costs. Sarah Bedford spoke to Biodiversity Ranger Colin Bishop.
There's 3 hunting areas in the Murihuku area, 3 balloted hunting areas in the Murihuku area. There's the Blue Mountains RHA, which is balloted all year round, and then there's Lethen and Waikaia forests, which are balloted just over the raw period. Those balloted hunting periods cost a considerable amount to run. To date, the department has picked up that cost, but that's no longer sustainable. So we're looking at charging for the balloted hunting, but I need to make it clear that it's just for the balloted hunting period, and all other hunting it's in unrestricted areas or outside ballots is to remain free.
So for these particular areas, why are they balloted anyway?
Hunters have requested that they be balloted. In some cases it also has a bit to do with the neighbouring landowners as well, access issues. But we have canvassed hunting groups, and they've been very clear in that they want the balloted blocks to remain balloted. Many hunters see it as a safety issue, that it's safer when you have a balloted block, and others see it as it provides them with a better hunting opportunities. So we're happy to continue the ballot, but it comes at a cost.
So these areas are public land anyway, so how can you actually charge people?
We're not charging for hunting, that will always remain free, but we are charging for the administration of the ballot only. And we're trying to keep that cost down as low as we can. The cost, many other areas around the country are permitted areas are charged for. Some of those are managed by regional councils, or a lot of forestry companies charge for hunting access. And those costs range from between $5 and $56. So we're going to be charging $11.50 per application for the balloted hunting areas.
After the break, what caused dozens of firefighters to descend on the small town of Bluff at the weekend? Welcome back. There's been an increase in demand for Southland farming land that provides sustainable wintering, according to the latest REI NZ farm sales statistics. And nationally, grazing properties accounted for the largest number of sales last month. In Southland, 46 farms sold this July compared with 41 for July last year, while nationally 6.7% more farms were sold than the previous 12 months to July. Rural spokesperson Brian Peacock says farm sales activity has remained strong for all types of farms in Southland, with demand for grazing or potential wintering properties accounting for more than 44% of all sales nationally over the 3 months to July. There was a 23% increase, with 82 more farms sold compared to the same time 3-month period last year. Focus on forming attachment and infant mental health is behind a pilot residential program set to launch in Invercargill next year. Co-founder of the 1000-Day Trust, paediatrician Dr. Vili Sotutu, says neuroscience evidence suggests the first 3 years are very important, and the Trust aims to help vulnerable children and their families through early intervention.
In this first 3-year period, actually it's even from the time of conception onward, there's a massive network of synapses or connections that's going on within the brain, such that we've actually got the maximum amount of connections from 3 years. Thereafter, there's a pruning process that goes on where we use various tracts and passages, and if we don't use them, we lose them. And within that first 3 years, the impact of adversity can be substantial, leaving a lasting impact. And so the need to provide healthy, protective environments and to avoid those adversities is massive. But what we're concerned about is the group that need a little bit more help, those whose issues go beyond the capacity of our current providers to make a difference. And so what we're proposing is having a residential facility where mums, babies and their family would be able to be met, their needs addressed, and we're under no illusions that we're not going to fix things in just a Monday to Friday period. But what we want to do is to put some effective therapies into place and develop relationships with those in the community who will be able to walk with them for the longer journey.
Is it the child or the parents that need their support over this time?
Both, really. But really the child needs the support of the parents. And that's really what we're trying to nurture with our efforts, is very simple, basic, healthy relating, which actually becomes a little difficult for a whole bunch of people. And so there's people in the community who are relatively unsupported, who may have mental health issues, who may be struggling with breastfeeding, or an irritable baby that's not sleeping well, they're sleep deprived, There may be other economic, relationship issues, family violence, drugs and alcohol, all of which make it just a very difficult early start. And what we want to do is to help get in there early, provide the necessary supports that will help change outcomes for not just that baby, but that whole family.
A big anniversary meant big celebrations in Bluff at the weekend as the Bluff Volunteer Fire Brigade marked 125 years. A parade of around 16 fire trucks from the 1940s to modern day was one of the events held to mark the occasion. Bluff Chief Fire Officer Bill Gold says months of planning went into the event, which also included a highline rescue from bitumen tanks. Around 180 people attended celebrations, including 35 former and 24 current Bluff firefighters. Mr Gold says the brigade plays an important role in the town, being called to more than just fires, with work ranging from pumping out boats to car accidents. A busy season came to a close for the region's squash players at Squash City in Invercargill at the weekend. The ILT Southland-wide Interclub Finals and the Southland Junior Interclub competition were held on Saturday, with the premier title going to Squash City 1 and the Junior Interclub won by Makariwa. The competition was followed by annual awards for the 18 squash clubs in the region, held to bring the clubs together to celebrate achievements. Among winners, Tautau Squash Club won Club of the Year in recognition of doubling its membership, and Nikki McNaught was named Volunteer of the Year for her contribution at the Makarewa Club. National Poetry Day was celebrated in the Deep South with works that reflect the region. Poets Jenny Powell and Kay Mackenzie Cook read some of their work to a crowd of about 15 at the Invercargill Library on Saturday. Well published nationally and internationally, the poets read works that draw on Southland's inspirational landscape and unique events. Local poets, including Cilla McQueen and members of the public, also read their own poetry. The visit was part of the National Poetry Day 2013, with the pair also having visited Gore and Winton on Friday. And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, a blow for the Southland Stags, losing their first game of the ITM Cup. From the news team, good night.